What is the difference between a medium voltage switch and medium voltage circuit breaker? Medium voltage switch, which is known in many times in Europe and IEC as a disconnect switch or a disconnect only. So in Europe, disconnect switch is basically a switch that provide isolation as well as capability of making and breaking a load. However, in North America, we call this as load break switch or non-load break switch. Load break switch meaning that it can interrupt a load. Non-load break switch is just simply a means of isolation only. And this is very common in North America. Um, However, for circuit breaker is designed to mainly interrupt load, so it can make and break the load, and it is rated for the voltage level. It can be used as many times, much more than that of the switch. Switch is very limited normally in number of operation, and it can be probably limited to 1,000 time of mechanical operation and maybe 100 time of actual operation on load if it is load break switch. However, for a breaker, typically it is 10,000 mechanical operation, which means that it can open and close without load, and probably 1/10 of that, which is 1,000 time of electrical operation. And of course, it can interrupt also arc. So you can open a breaker during arc, and it can also basically have interrupted capacity for the short circuit level. So that's why the breaker is very important in our network. Switch is still mandated and still required to be able to make a physical isolation of the network even after the breaker is open. It can provide you a visible blade, so you can see physically that the switch is opened and there is no way that somebody can get electrocuted downstream in the system. Circuit breakers normally do not provide this visual isolation, so that's why normally a switch is need to be in series or upstream basically from the medium voltage breaker. We can only provide um, protection relays with the circuit breakers only, as it has the capability of opening on a fault. However, for a switch, the only way that we can use a switch with a protection would be mainly with fuses. So fuses can sense and interrupt the fault, and then we can operate the switch in less current. And this is why normally a switch and breaker are a perfect combination in medium voltage. However, if we are using draw out circuit breakers, meaning that the breaker can have a racking mechanism that allow us to, after we open the breaker, we rack the breaker out. In this case, it is considered as a means of isolation similar to a switch, and in this case we don't need to have a switch upstream of that. So this is a simple way of looking at the differences between a switch and a breaker, and again, depending on the utility that this switch and breaker are connected to, it might have different requirement as well.